When you picture a car blazing down the highway, you probably think the air just slips past it, smooth and even. But it turns out the invisible world of aerodynamics is, well, it's way more chaotic and frankly more fascinating than you might think.
So that brings us to the big question for today. As a car cuts through the air, does it leave a perfectly neat, balanced trail behind it? Scientists call this trail the wake. And I mean, it seems logical, right? A symmetrical car should create a symmetrical wake.
Well, the answer is a big, surprising no. Once you get up to highway speeds, that wake becomes weirdly and stubbornly lopsided. And this isn't just some random fluke, it's a predictable state. Figuring out why this happens is a huge deal for anyone designing a car. So let's dive right in. Section 1. A car's lopsided wake. And just know, this isn't just some quirky piece of physics trivia. This unbalanced airflow has a very real impact on your car's efficiency.
So why do we care? Well, it all comes down to aerodynamic drag. Think of it as the air pushing back on your car. It's a massive energy hog. For a gas car, that means you're burning more fuel. And for an EV, it eats up your battery, giving you less range and more of that dreaded range anxiety. Taming this drag is one of the holy grails for automakers.
Okay, so how on earth do scientists study this stuff without having to test every single car model on the road? Simple. They use a standardized tool. So let's meet the hero of our story, the Ahmed body.
The Ahmed body is basically the crash test dummy, but for air. It's the super simplified generic car shape that researchers all over the world can use. It means that when they run their tests and simulations, they can actually compare the results apples to apples. It strips away all the fancy styling and just gets down to the pure physics of it all.
And what's really clever is that you can swap out the back end of the Ahmed body to mimic different types of cars. For this study, the researchers focused on what's called the notchback. That's option C right there. It's the classic shape of a sedan, with a separate trunk.
So you have this model, but how do you actually see these forces that are completely invisible? Well, you could use a giant wind tunnel, or you could build a virtual one inside a supercomputer, and that's exactly what these researchers did.
They used some seriously powerful computer simulations to map out and actually visualize the airflow. It's like having a digital wind tunnel that lets us see these incredible, complex patterns that we could never ever spot with the naked eye.
But here's the catch. Not all simulations are created equal. The team actually tested 9 different models for turbulence. And as this quote from their paper shows, only one of them, the Spallert-Allmaras model, was able to correctly predict and see that lopsided wake. Finding the right scientific lens was absolutely the key to unlocking this whole mystery.
And that brings us to the core of their discovery. What they found is that the airflow isn't just in one state. Its behavior changes dramatically as the car speeds up, and it creates 3 totally distinct regimes or patterns.
Okay, here's the first regime. At low speeds, everything is exactly how you'd imagine it. The wake, that trail of air behind the car, is stable, it's balanced, it's perfectly symmetrical. So far, so good. No surprises here.
But watch what happens when we start to pick up some speed. Now we're in the second regime, and that perfect symmetry starts to break down. You can see the wake is beginning to shift to one side. It's in this weird transitional state, not quite stable, and it's clearly losing its balance. And then, at high speeds, bam, we hit the third regime. The wake just snaps into this new, stable position that is totally and dramatically lopsided. Just look at that. It's consistently pushed way over to one side. This is the hidden secret of high-speed airflow that we've been talking about.
Now, this isn't just something that looks cool in a simulation. It's something they could actually measure. This chart is the proof. It shows the pressure difference between the left and right sides of the trunk. At low speed, that difference is basically 0. But as the speed climbs, look at that bar shoot up. It's the hard data that proves the lopsidedness we just saw.
So let's just boil it down to what really matters. A symmetric wake at low speeds? That's good. It's balanced, predictable, and means lower drag. That asymmetric wake at high speeds? Not so good. It's imbalanced, complex, and creates higher drag, which is exactly what we don't want.
So, we've clearly seen what is happening. The wake gets all lopsided. But the million-dollar question is, why? What's causing all this aerodynamic chaos?
Well, the simple answer is that the air doesn't let go of the car's sharp edges evenly. As you go faster, even a tiny little instability in the flow gets magnified, bigger and bigger. The air separating from the roof and the side pillars gets thrown off balance, and one side starts to dominate the other. That imbalance is what forces the entire wake to get shoved to one side.
And this image is the smoking gun. We're looking straight down onto the trunk here, and that blue area shows where the air is actually flowing backward. On the left, at low speed, it's right in the middle. But look at the right. As speed increases, that whole footprint of reverse flow gets pushed way off center. That's the proof right there.
So, look, understanding all this isn't just some cool academic exercise. It has very real, direct implications for how we can design the next generation of cars to be way more efficient.
So what's the big takeaway for you? Well, knowing this exists means engineers can start designing smarter rear ends for cars. Things like trunks, spoilers, and edges that can actually control the airflow and stop it from becoming so lopsided. They could even develop active systems. Imagine tiny jets of air that fire automatically to rebalance the wake while you're driving. The end goal for all of this is the same: cut down on drag, which means better fuel economy and more range for all of us.
It's really amazing when you think about it. After more than 100 years of car design, one of the next huge leaps in efficiency might not come from the engine or the battery, but from finally understanding and taming the invisible, chaotic dance of air that's happening right behind us.